Welcome to the Pawsome Companion, where pets are part of our family. I'm your host, Joanna Herrera, the founder of Coco and Bone Diet. I'm very excited to interview experts and pet owners to share their stories and insights so you can use them to take care of your babies. Hi everyone, we have here Oliver. Oliver is a passionate pet lover and the founder of Walking with Dogs, a business that has started a few months ago, to be exact, 4 months ago.
Yeah, about 4 months.
Yes, with support from MDIS through the S-List program, Oliver turned his love for dogs into a thrive venture. Overcoming his challenges of autism, he is now dedicated to helping other dogs owners with pursuing their entrepreneurial dreams. And yeah, so thank you, Oliver, for being here.
No, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here.
Thank you for sharing your story and for being so brave to set up your own business. So tell us, how the idea of becoming a business owner started.
Well, I think it started 4 months ago. That's when the business began. So it sort of began with business ideas because, or at least, I always wanted to work with animals or in an animal industry. And it's a very competitive field. There's a lot of people wanting to join in, but there's not a lot of opportunities, or those opportunities are very competitive spaces and positions in like any sectors, from pet, veterinarian sectors to even animal conservation and zookeeping and stuff. That's very competitive stuff. So I think it was my sort of family that, or mum and dad, mainly my mum, that sort of supported me, but sort of brought the idea of why don't you set up your own dog walking business? I was at first sort of very hesitant. I'm always a bit hesitant with things that are seeming, things that would be new, because to me, I'm setting up a business. I don't know what I'm going to do. It looks extremely daunting from my perspective. But sort of, I've always, for a long period, it's not really about a half a year, give or take, year of work, where they sort of suggested the idea. I'm like, look, I'm just going to think about it. I'm not in any sort of rush at the moment.
Yeah. So, and I know, as per our previous conversation, that you have 2 dogs, family dogs, that you take care of them.
Yeah,
you have a big passion for taking care of animals.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Which is something that obviously align very well with this new business.
Yeah, it's I like dogs because I have 2 dogs myself, Lily and Mabel, they're called.
Okay.
Small dogs.
What breed are they?
So they're both toy poodle crosses, and so Lily is about 12 years old this year. She is a cross between toy poodle and Maltese terrier, around that big. And the second one, who is going to be 4 years old, give or take. Can't remember. That's how good of an owner I am. But she is basically toy poodle, Maltese terrier, and a Shih Tzu, and she's same height, a slightly bigger. But yeah, I mean, it's easy to be good at a job that you already like about it. I like dogs. I always like. Yeah. Well, I mean. Well, fun fact, when I was younger, I was very scared of dogs, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
I was very scared of the dog, and I think it was about when I was in year 7 or 6, around that time, that I sort of like, I think I sort of like, yeah, look, I like animals, but I'm afraid of dogs. It's a bit silly. So I thought to myself, like, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna try and my best and conquer that fear of it. And I think like as I slowly, it was all gradual. So I think I got better with small dogs at first.
Yeah, and I think having dogs at home will make it easier for you to adapt to live with animals.
No, it does. Like being surrounded by being constantly surrounded by many different types of animals really does help. Like I have 2 budgies, parakeets, birds with me, and yeah, like and that's the thing. Like if you're good with one animal, you're not always good with all of them, because birds and dogs are very different. And but like
you got bears as well.
Yeah, 2 birds, budgies. So I got them 3 years ago, give or take, and yeah, just having them about, being comfortable with them, and even to the point where I just sort of let them fly around in my room.
Wow.
And the thing with like the birds is that
and they go well with the dogs as well.
Oh no, I don't really try.
So you close the door.
Yeah, I close the door and stuff. Okay. I don't want any fights or accidents to happen.
Yeah.
So I usually try to keep them separate, which is
absolutely.
Yeah.
Understanding.
So and it's just being surrounded by animals, especially around this time of my life. Yeah, I like. It brings a whole new level of appreciation, and I'm not scared, like that afraid anymore to, be around animals. Back when I was a little kid, it was a bit different. I liked animals, but I sort of liked it from the comfort of from a book, from the pictures of a book.
Yeah.
If I was around it, I would be a little bit shy or scared of them because I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, nowadays, like growing up, I understood, especially with dogs. Okay, most dogs, they're not aggressive. They're just playful. They're just over.
Yeah. And they just want to go for walking.
Yeah, they're excitable.
They love getting out.
Exactly. Most dogs aren't aggressive. When a dog comes up to you and jumps on you, it's because they're happy. It's because they want to see you. They want your attention. And I think it was that understanding of it that I sort of lost all fear of dogs altogether, and it just became the opposite. It's if there's a dog, I'm immediately right there.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, like, you were diagnosed with autism.
Yeah.
How old were you when that happened?
I think it was like early on. So I can't give. Well, it's not that I won't give too many details. It's just that most of those nitty gritty stuff is like my parents know. It was like very young. In my family, I was the first to be diagnosed. So it basically, to me, it was my entire life.
Yeah.
Like I think it was like around 2 years old or something like that. Like before I could even remember.
Yeah.
And I think it was sort of that earlier diagnosis that did sort of help my parents to sort of understand, okay, we now know what's happening, so we can try to, help him. And, I think I'm very grateful for both my parents, especially my mum.
Yeah.
Because she, took a lot of, she took how do I put it? She took the time to understand the condition, my condition, and to, not to like, she did more and above.
Yeah.
Basically, she not only tried to understand the condition, she also was supportive, but also trying to get me the best help I can, and that as well. And I think, especially nowadays that I'm an adult, looking back upon that, I'm extraordinarily grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because frankly, not all parents are like that, where they, they might understand, but they might not necessarily do the extra research or the extra mile, so to say. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
I'm very fortunate, and I always remind myself that every day that I have, those two as my parents. And
That's great to hear. So for those who don't know, like, about the autism condition, what were like the things that were affecting like your normal life that you feel like it probably wasn't this like as the same childhood as a normal child? Do you have anything in particular that you would like to share around that?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Whenever I think about it, I always bring up the counter question is I never had a normal childhood. So this childhood I lived through is the one I only know. I don't know what it's like to be normal. I could make guesses. I could make, I don't know, estimations, guesses. I could I can understand a certain point of view. But to me, the childhood I've had has always been the one I knew. I don't have anything to compare it with. But but back to your original question, sort of bring it around. I think it's more just, I guess, socialization. That's really the problem. I think it's, you act a bit different, a bit odd. You might have a hyperfixation on something in particular. For me, it was animals. You might have an ability. You could have an ability that you might excel at, but then every other aspect, you're not so good. For me, it was, I think, like it was definitely, arts, drawing, and animals. Throughout my school life, I was always, specifically primary school, I was always known as, the guy who, the kid that likes animals and the kid that draws, and the on point descriptions. I do like, I like
And
animals.
what do you draw? Do you draw pets as well?
I mainly just, keeping in the theme of, I like animals, I like drawing. It's mainly just been animals I drew.
Oh, amazing.
I always find them easy to draw because they have very, the lot sort of, you can be a lot more sloppy with animals because they have these like more natural, they have natural curves, they have natural, shapes. You don't have to be so precise and rigid when you draw animals, but when you have, like, I don't know, buildings or machinery, you sort of have to be precise.
This could be another leg of your business.
I have done some commissions. Like, I have done a commission in the past, and stuff like that. I have thought of actually, before the dog walking business, my mum was trying to push me into animation.
Okay.
And I love drawing for all I can, and I do have a very, big appreciation for the, animation industry and those sort of like that type of medium of arts. I love that old 2D animation.
Yeah.
I always like it. But honestly, I'm afraid that if I ever did pursue it as a career, I would end up hating drawing, and that would be...
So you want it more like a passion?
Yeah, I feel like with animals, with this job is right for me because with drawing, you're stuck at a desk. You're stuck at a desk, and I actually did a course in 3D animation. It was fun. It was very fun. But yeah, just the tediousness of being stuck at a desk, staring at a screen, and doing, moving bits and bobs around is very monotonous and can very maddening. And like I'm also diagnosed with ADHD, since I was younger. So sitting at a desk is it can be nigh torturous to me. and on some days.
Yeah.
So I would like, I've always wanted to pursue an occupation where I can be out and about. I can roam, I can walk, I can work, I can run about and do stuff, be active, essentially.
Yeah, and this job that you do of walking dogs will keep you active,
Yeah.
walking. You will have a friend animal always smiling at you.
No, it's very nice to see a satisfied dog walking next to me. It's a very nice feeling, just having a good dog, like a nice smiling dog next to you. Yeah, and yeah, it just feels nice. It feels
like the right
yeah,
job.
it feels right. I always like dogs better than people. I always say to myself, the people.
I think most of the people say that. So
that is true.
it's
I'm not
true.
alone on that.
I
on
agree
that
with
view.
you. Dogs are amazing.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So how is your business going? Like, how many clients can you take a week, or how is the hours, the working hours? How does it work?
Well, the good thing about this business is that I'm my own boss, because the only employee parts of walking with dogs at the moment is me. So if I decide, okay, I wouldn't usually do this, but I'll do this, in case I can decide. I don't need to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Although I might talk to somebody just to get their advice on something. Say, hey, look, I'm planning to do this. Do you think that's a right choice? Do you think that's the right choice? They give me their input, and I say, okay, maybe, okay, that just advising from like people I know, saying like, okay, I'm going to do this. Do you think that's a good idea?
I ask you, like, in terms of offering the services, how often can you, like, do
Right,
days,
yes.
do you work days? How many hours do you
Yeah.
work a day? And or how long are those walks with the client?
Yeah. Now I remember. I normally like to do weekdays.
Okay.
But sort of like Fridays and Sundays are off, because those are usually my busiest days that I have stuff to do. But normally, like a work day for me, most of my clients are in the morning. So from like 8:30 to 10 or 12 o'clock. I normally, you normally like to keep it in the morning, because that's when it's nice and cool.
Fresh.
And fresh as well. But I have done jobs in the evening before, and I have done jobs in the evening. That's a nice time to walk dogs as well. But it also really depends on what the client wants as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes maybe their dog doesn't like to go out. Maybe he doesn't like to go out to certain areas. So I'd have to be like, okay, this dog doesn't like to be near this place, so I'll do it. We could do it at this time around this area.
Yeah. Okay.
But nowadays, about 4 jobs a week. Like four like dog walking jobs a week.
Okay.
And sometimes there's a bit more, like I might get a call saying, can you just do this one time? And I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do it. And usually each job takes about 30 minutes on average. 30 minutes is sort of like that medium walk I do. And so my services, I offer, a short walk, which is around 20 minutes, a regular walk, 30 minutes, and 45 minutes or over is usually that. Because I understand that there are many different types of dog breeds.
Absolutely.
And there's many different dogs of different ages. When a dog is younger, they might be a lot more energetic, but they might not, they might get tired easily. A middle-aged dog is, nice and active, can sort of hold, do a lot more. And then when a dog gets older, they slow down a bit, so maybe they need a lot less time. And then, of course, you have different breeds as well.
Like the pups, for example, then you have to walk less.
Yeah, and, different breeds as well. Like smaller dogs, they might need shorter walks. because they don't have, they're very small. But then you have something like working dogs, like Kelpies, Border Collies, and all those different types of sheepdogs.
Yeah.
Require a lot of energy to get out. And sometimes maybe the client wants 45 minutes or even an hour walk, because on average, for like a working dog like a Kelpie or a Border Collie, you want to ideally have 2 walks a day, an hour each, for a working dog like that.
So have you done that? Like, for example, if there is a particular dog that you're walking, you take the dog out in the morning and then you go home and you come back and take the dog out at night, or how?
I haven't had a job like that yet, but if a job like that does come up, I would be willing to accommodate.
Yeah. Okay.
Like I said, this job is very much in its infancy. This business, brand or whatever, is very much in its infancy. 4 months is a short time.
Very young.
It's a pretty short time, and so it's all been a nice steady rise, and I think the pace that I'm currently going at is a nice steady pace. I think it's sustainable. And stuff like, so I'm really happy where it's going at the moment.
Yeah, wonderful. So do you have any fun stories that you have had with your dogs?
Oh, my
on
dog.
Your walks?
Oh, many. Not so much client dogs. I'll tell you stories about my own dogs because I mainly walk them. And I don't get the most horrendous thing about that job is that I don't get paid for that job. No. So I got 2 dogs, an older dog, Lily. She was the first. She's all, she is well behaved, but she doesn't really like to walk as much. But the younger dog, cheeky little rapscallion, but she loves to walk to the point where you can't even say the word. And then all of a sudden you say the word, she looks up to you, tilts her head and just like comes up to you and just like shoves on your leg saying, let's go. So I usually take her out daily. I try to.
But you cannot take both at the same time.
I do take both of them at some time, but it's just...
So how do you manage with the one that doesn't like walking?
I just say, okay, we're going on a walk. You need a walk. Suck it up. And stuff like that. She will walk. She just treats it like a chore. She's just like, okay, do I really have to? Like, okay, I'm going to walk, but, I'm just going to lumber along and take my time and stuff like that. Yeah, so I usually don't walk her as often. I don't really walk her as often as much. But she's also an old dog, so you got to give her. Yes. But I feel like, because she's an old dog, she needs a lot more walks. So I try to get her out for walks, but sometimes she's just, no, I don't want to go out. So I'd be like, okay, next time. But back onto the funny story. Mabel, my youngest, she is also very reactive as well. So whenever she sees another dog, she's very much like looks at them, barks, like, and lunges and goes out. And there was this one time where I was walking her, and we saw it like it was like a woman and her daughter walking their dog. And I was like, just trying my best to sort of, take her away. And she was like looking back, and we're walking away, and she was like, looking back behind her, and she didn't see the tree in front of her. And to the point, she just walked straight.
The dog?
No, she walked.
The person.
No, the dog, my dog.
Okay.
She walked straight into the tree because she wasn't seeing where she went.
Oh my god.
And I obviously, the first thing I did naturally was check. Oh my, like, are you all right? And everything was all right. And then I was like, you little dumb creature, why did you do that? We always call her Mabel specifically, my youngest dog. We always call her the dumb one. But I reckon she's just cheeky. But that moment was one of her dumbest moments, in my opinion.
That's funny.
No, it really is.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, if I'm a person that I'm looking for your services, how will be the process? Like, let's say, as you told me, you mostly are on Facebook. You promote on Facebook.
Yes, mostly on Facebook.
So let's say you have your number there, your contact details. I call you. I require your service.
Yeah.
So how is the process?
Normally the way people contact me is either through Facebook, Messenger.
Okay.
Sometimes they text me, call me, mostly texting, or they send me emails. And basically, usually begins like, "Hi, my name is whoever. I have a dog that needs walking. Do you have any times available, or how much is it going to be?" If it's like stuff like that, I would usually respond saying, in a polite and courteous manner. I always like to have a good sort of way of speaking to my clients. I always like to be very courteous and polite to them. It's just part of good business in my opinion. But usually when they come to me, if they send me a message, it's normally like that.
But the process, okay, they call you to send you a message. You say yes.
Yeah.
Let's do this day. So you go to their home.
Yeah,
how's the process?
If it's like for example, if it's like a walk, I would usually just go to there. I would say hello. I normally wear the t-shirt so they know who I am. So I usually go there. They say, "Oh, are you Oliver? Yes. Are you such and such?" And we usually just say, "Yeah, give me the dog." I walk them for the time specified. And I bring them home, and usually they just pay. It's all very quick and easy. It's then I use a Square app.
Okay.
For like processing payments because a lot of these days people have cards. So it's all very just quick and easy like that. And I would always ask them like do you want this to be a repeating process, or and stuff like that. And we always chat afterwards. They ask me "Oh, did they go well?" And did they well behaved? And normally, nothing like that has happened. I normally say, "Yep, they well behaved." But if something, does happen, or if I see something a little abnormal, maybe they might have a bit of a limp. Let's just use that as a suggestion. Luckily, nothing like that has happened.
Yeah.
I would always point that out to them, saying I've noticed on the walk that your dog has sort of had a bit of a limp, so you might want to
check it out.
He doesn't seem to be in pain, but you might want to just keep an eye on it. So if there's something a bit abnormal with the dogs, I would always make a point to sort of just let their owner know that, okay, if there's something a bit wrong, that might just be a one-time thing, but just make sure to keep an extra eye on it just in case. Because the way I conduct business is that I always like to prioritize the dogs first.
That's great.
I don't always a longer walk equals more money for me. But in my opinion, if the dog is not going to behave or is a bit anxious around me, I'm always going to suggest, okay, look, your dog is a little bit anxious around me, so let's just do a 20-minute walk, and we'll try to sort of get him more comfortable with me.
Yeah, and I feel like when you have a business, is give that extra care for your clients.
Oh, definitely.
Adding value with all your services, trying to do a good job and offering what the client needs as well.
Yeah.
It's not trying to offer them because not everything works for a particular client.
Exactly. That's my philosophy. Exactly. Is I believe that it's with the thing. All dogs are very different from one another.
Yeah.
With different requirements and different needs. So I feel like they would need a tailored experience for that specific dog. So just to have the cookie cutter approach of this and this. I do have that for walks, but if there's an extra level of care they need on the walk, I always ask them. I always make sure that, is their dog very reactive to other dogs? So I would be sure to, not let them near dogs or be extra careful. If I see a dog ahead, I'll be okay, we'll just take another way around.
Okay, wonderful. So in this case, you said that you're having 4 different jobs in a week.
Yeah,
right?
Around 4.
So what is the capacity that you can take on? At the moment, are you open to get more?
I'm always open to get more jobs. It'll probably be. That's a good question. I never really thought about it because it never really has happened before.
Yeah.
It's more of those situations where it's like, look, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I think but then, if you get to that bridge, it might be like a rickety old.
Or you probably will have to hire someone if you want to scale up your business.
Yeah, I might. Well, if it does get like that, I would eventually have to hire somebody. But at the moment, it's sort of good. It's sort of steady so far. But also I try to stick to the eastern side of Adelaide.
Okay.
So like the eastern suburbs, because I live in the east.
So where do you live?
I live in the Campbelltown City area.
Oh, okay.
So that's like near the Adelaide Hills. But I usually try to keep like to that area, so around the eastern suburbs.
Yeah.
But I have done jobs out of my preferred range. It's just I prefer to stay in the eastern suburbs because it helps with time management. Because if I got a client that lives like 30 minutes across town, it's going to be a bit difficult for me. Like I don't know, Seaton. That's a western suburb, right?
Yeah.
If I have a client in Seaton, I'm going to have to be like, that's going to be a bit of a problem.
Yeah.
The travel time is going to be a bit hard for me. So I would probably I would have to, decline. And I always, whenever I'm like, okay, look, I'm going to have to decline, I don't get joy out of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't, because I know they're looking to me for something, and it always is a very
specific.
Yeah, it is. I always feel a tinge of guilt whenever I have to decline somebody, but it's always with a good reason.
So just to conclude this episode,
yeah, of course,
I would love to know exactly what is the name, like how people can find you on Facebook.
Of course.
It's called Walking with Dogs.
Yeah, Walking with Dogs.
Okay. So people just message you, can call you, and you will try to fit them in.
So I have a Facebook account. I have a Facebook, which is Walking with Dogs. I have an Instagram account that's Walking with Dogs underscore ADL for Adelaide, because apparently Walking with Dogs was already taken. And I also have a website, which is www.walkingwithdogs.com.au.
Amazing, you're super prepared.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I did for this business was get the domain and a website.
And the logo. And
the logo.
Which is beautiful, I love it.
Designed for myself.
Very original.
Yeah, no, I'm proud of it. I like what I've achieved here, and I'm also very grateful for the people that has
been involved in this process.
Been involved, that has helped me and advised me along the way. So I'm eternally grateful to those people, because Frank, it's just all looking up for me.
Okay.
And I'm very optimistic for the future, and as of now.
Amazing. Thank you, Oliver, for joining us today.
No, thank you so much.
And we hope our listeners love this episode and learn a little bit more about your story and how to take care of dogs and take them for walks.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the Pawsome Companion. If you have any further questions for our experts, feel free to leave them in the show notes or reach out to me directly. And if you are a pet expert who would love to contribute to this podcast, we will be thrilled to hear from you. Don't forget to follow us, and if you enjoyed today's episode, we will really appreciate a 5-star review. Thanks again, and we will see you at the next episode.